It's early evening and the sweatbox driver's been grueling, all the way from central London to the north of England in little under a few hours. Tiny was anxious, he knew the rules, and the one he was about to break was indeed a cardinal rule on the streets of black gangland Britain. He never checked out, as gangsters often like to call it. They can maybe turn a blind eye to you pulling some strings to get yourself moved off the wing if you ever found yourself in a totally no-win situation. But checking out like he was about to do is strictly forbidden. Two burly officers wait in front of the reception area, wearing no-nonsense expressions as they were dying to get home and put their feet up. But the file said that a notorious South London street gangster, Carlon Robinson, was about to join their vulnerable prisoner community, which was something they simply had to see for themselves. Therefore, the prison officers awaited Tiny's arrival. When he finally arrives and departs from the sweatbox, they smirk at him, with one screw tapping the file marked VP unit against his forehead mockingly. Tiny quickly averts his gaze and studies the floor in shame.
Oscar Unit 1. We have one IC3 male, namely Mr. Robinson, that's Carlon Robinson. What? Yeah? yeah, that's the one. He's checking out. Yeah, he's had enough apparently. Anyway, man, one heading up there to the VIP section, seeing inmate Robinson has expressed concerns that his life is in imminent danger and that he would therefore like to seek the protection of the state in exchange for information leading to the arrest and or the capture of offenders or indeed inmates operating illegally within the confines of Her Majesty's High Security Estate.
The officer then throws a casual sidelong glance at Carlon to see how he would react upon hearing this particular little part of the deal. But Carlon shows no reaction because he'd already grass-nodded up in court. So what difference would it make? So the officer pushes further.
Right, Tiny, you're not getting our help without first giving us something that we can work with, like, you know what I mean? This is part of where you scratch my back, pal, you know? So I've got a pen and a bit of paper here, start talking, or you'll be back in the general population before you can say, filthy little lolly. You get me, blood? Alright, calm down, Doc, calm down, no need to rub it in. I used to run everything, you know? I was like the founder. Fucking founder? Founder of what, you silly cunt? Because on there, the fraggles rule everything, mate, not the fucking gangbangers, and certainly not the founders. If you don't want to white dick off your black ass by tomorrow, you'll do well to remember that, mate. Yeah, they won't touch me, I'm a Muslim. Plus I was the founder. I was like the founder of GB, or kind of, sort of. I didn't really start it, but once it was already like started, I kind of restarted it all by myself. You know, like in my own mind. It's just me there, really, all by myself. You know, like making loads of stuff up. You fucking thing, you fucking weirdo.
Whispered the officer as they processed the poor deluded man's paperwork, as he rambled on in the corner about how he founded loads of stuff. Tiny walks across the yard with the two officers in tow. The yard was surrounded by cells, and even now, several eyes could be seen peeping from behind their curtains. All of the gay men in the system, as well as the rapists, paedophiles and informants, lived on the VP wing, and they all wanted to know exactly who the fresh fish was. Tiny was in his cell no longer than 10 minutes before a small gang of white guys turn up and start making themselves feel comfortable. One had a wild punk rocker hairstyle, while the other who weighed around 19 stone bulged with muscle.
What, mate? My name's Basher for nigger. What, you can call me Basher for short if you want. You're not one of them fucking muzzies, are you? Because we don't fucking deal with them fucking muzzies, do we, lad? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Basher. I'm not a Muslim. I hate Muslims as well. I'm just like a founder. Founder? Founder of what there, sweetheart? Why don't you come here and sit on Daddy's lap and tell me all about it, eh? Oh my God! I certainly will not sit on your lap so that you can have your wicked way with me. Those things cost money. And if you want anything like that, it will cost you at least 2 bags of heroin and 1 rock of crack to stick on my pipe. Yeah.
Basher smirks knowingly before him and his buddy take up strategic positions in the cell before giving Tiny some artwork to look at.
What's up? Pretty cool, huh? You don't even need to know the words. Yeah. You just like the pictures speak for themselves. Pretty cool, huh? You don't even need to know the words. That's right, bitch. You just like the pictures speak for themselves.
Hey, what the fuck you doing, man?
Like that. That's right,
Hey, let me
bitch.
go, man. Hey, what the fuck you doing? What the fuck you doing, man? What the fuck you doing, man? Hey, what the fuck you doing? Hey, man, what the fuck you doing, man?
If you don't know a lot about prison, one thing that everyone knows is that sex offenders have a pretty crap time in prison. That's kind of is often, although not always, the case. So if no one knows that you're in for a sex offence, if you're known to other prisoners, if you have, you know, criminal associates, if you're big, if you're respectable, if you've got friends inside, you can maybe get away with being on a mainstream wing and not getting beaten up. But if you're known to be a sex offender, if it's in the local paper, the chances are you're going to have a pretty tough time. And so because of this danger that they often face, they're often held separately within prisons. Apologies if this is all like incredibly basic to people, I just don't really know what the level of awareness is here. This kind of, the fact of being held separately isn't new, so the term nonce, which is a kind of common term for sex offender, specifically child sex offender, but not exclusively, it's got a disputed etymology, but it's thought to originate from the term not on normal circular exercise. It's like an acronym for that. And that's that it's thought to be the case that, you know, sex offenders back in the day, in 1950s or whatever, it was written on their files, NONCE, which meant they don't go on the yard at the same time as everyone else because they'll get beaten up. And then that kind of became a term in prison and in the wider community for sex offender. And sex offenders have been separated for their own protection for a long time. In the 1980s, they developed this thing called vulnerable prisoners units, which are separate wings within mainstream prisons which hold prisoners deemed to be vulnerable. So that can be by offence type, or it can be if they've kind of vulnerable for other reasons, like grassing. If you get discovered to be a grass, you might go on a VPU. If you get in debt repeatedly within the prison, sometimes debt can be enforced by violence within certain prisons, so you might end up on a VPU. So VPUs were kind of made up of quite a diverse group of prisoners, some for their offence and some for other reasons.